All right. No announcements were made. Let's see if anybody actually joins. Seems like there's one person that's joined. Welcome, Yankee. Welcome, Audrey and John. Oh, Gregory, welcome. As you're joining in, say hello in the chat. Don't be a stranger. Hello, Metta. Welcome. Welcome, Jayanta. Metta, is it midnight there now? Or is it closer to 1? Hello, Dharma Learner. Welcome. One a.m. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Well, I always appreciate our friends who stay up till all hours of the night and the second watch of the night or even the third watch of the night to join us for Dhammapalooza. Dharma Learner, morning monastery experience did not happen this morning. I tried 3 times to get it going and it didn't work. I don't know if it was on YouTube's end, my internet end here. I have no idea, but it just didn't work today. So after the third time, I gave up. After it was almost 15 minutes in. So, yeah. Give it another minute or two and we'll get started. It has 24 minutes. Oh, that's weird. I have no idea. I didn't even bother to. I haven't checked. I just. Hello, Visaka. Welcome. Hope you're holding up health wise and soon to get your date for your operation. Also, I hope Abby's doing well. It's been a while since Abby was on with Isla and oh, what's your other granddaughter's name? Dhammapalooza is complete when we have the fourfold assembly and children joining in. That's always great. Mm. Your family has a lot of divine messengers these days, huh? All right. Why don't we get started? It is time, past time a little bit. We'll get started. Then we can have a chat after our initial chanting here. Let me share screen. Ivy May. That's what I was wanting. Yeah, Ivy May. That's the other name. All right. Chanting book. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Virupakehi me mettang erapatehi me chabhaya putehi me mettang kanha gotamakehi cha apadikehi me mettang vipadikehi me chatupadehi me mettang bahupadehi me Mamang apadiko hingsi, mamang hingsi dvipadiko, mamang chatupado hingsi, mamang hingsi bahupado, sabbe satta, sabbe pana, sabbe bhuta chakevala, sabbe badrani passantu, makanchi papang agama. Appamano Buddho, Appamano Dhammo, Appamano Sangho, Pamavantani, Sirang Sapani, Ahivikitcha Satapadi, Unanabi Sarubhumusika, Katame Rakka, Katame Parita, Patikamantu Buttani Soham Namo Bhagavato Namo Sattanam Samma Sambuddhanam. English. Protection of loving friendliness. There is metta for me from for Virupakas. For Erapatas, there is metta for me. There is metta for me for Chabyaputas. For the Kanha Gautamakas, there is metta for me. For me, there is metta for those with no feet. For those with 2 feet, there is metta for me. For me, there is metta for those with 4 feet. For those with many feet, there is metta for me. May those with no feet not hurt me. May those with 2 feet not hurt me. May those with 4 feet not hurt me. May those with many feet not hurt me. May all beings, all those with life, may all who have become, all in their entirety, may all see what is good. May suffering not come to anyone. Infinite is the Buddha. Infinite is the Dhamma. Infinite is the Sangha. Finite are creeping things. Snakes, scorpions, centipedes, spiders, lizards, and rats. I have made the protection. I have made the safeguard. May the harmful beings depart. I pay homage to the Sublime One. I pay homage to the 7 Buddhas. Sadhu. All right, friends. Well, welcome to another Dhammapalooza. It is Monday night, and every Monday night that I'm able to, from 8 p.m. New York time to 10 p.m., we come together as a community, the Maggasekha community, to have a 2-hour festival of Dhamma. These 2-hour festival of Dhamma includes a variety of different Dhamma-related activities. We just did some chanting. Later, we'll do some meditation. And in between, who knows? Now, every Dhammapalooza is community guided. This means that you have a say in how this goes. So in the next couple of minutes, you can type in the chat if you have any If you have any questions you'd like me to answer, you can put it in the chat. If you have any uh, topics you'd like me to discuss, you can put it in the chat, or for the community to discuss. Right? We are on the chat together, so we can discuss things together. Or if nobody has anything, well, there's always a sutta backed up for us to read suttas. So we'll give this a couple minutes in the chat. I hope everybody is doing well today. Hello, Matthias. Welcome. Hello, Joy. Welcome. Dharma learner has any thoughts on the Lenten season now that you're a Buddhist, as in regards to fasting and giving up something? I find Lent more profound since studying the Dhamma. Thank you. I don't know. You know, the idea of periods of time of like fasting is very ancient, and you see it across many, many different cultures and traditions. You know, I think there was a time in ancient times where, you know, people fasted a lot, and it wasn't because of their choice, right? Because they were, when we were hunter gatherers, it was like, you know, sometimes we just went days without food. You know, that's how it goes sometimes. So fasting, I think, has always been part of the human condition, and I don't think that it's a surprise that this kind of tradition has, you know, come down through the various religious traditions to the modern day. You know, being able to spend some time not indulging in something. Right? The Jewish people do that, and Muslim people do that, and Christian people do that, and Hindu people do that, and Buddhist people do that. That's the way it goes. It's, you know, done in different ways for different reasons per se, but you know, this is what, like, you know, the Aposita. This is something that is common in Buddhist tradition. That during that one day of the Aposita, you know, people who wish to can take the 8 monastic precepts and live a bit more austerely that day. Kind of giving you a little glimpse into a deeper way of living that most people are not ready to do all the time yet. So, okay, continue on. Fasting 40 days in the desert temptation. I find the season now much more deeper in meaning since. 40 days in the desert temptation. You know, this is an interesting, actually, that 40 days in the desert and the temptation, what does the devil tempt Jesus with? But like something like taking control of the world or something to that effect. It's been a long time. And you have hundreds of years before that, Mara coming to the Buddha and saying, you know, you are powerful. You could command the whole world, being the wheel turning monarch or something to that effect. The Buddha says, nope, not even worth it. Jesus said the same thing. All right, chat's a little quiet. I'll give it another minute or so, and then we can read suttas. It's actually been 2 or 3 weeks since we read any suttas. It's been a lot of Q&As lately. Joy. Good. Joy, this is a very good question. Did Buddha ever mention giving more merit when we offer to monastics versus lay community? Yes. So this is a deep and complicated thing. There is a sutta where the Buddha gives kind of a ranking of merit gained. And at the very, 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 very top of that ranking, I honestly, it's been a long time since I read it. I couldn't tell you which sutta it is off the top of my head. If you wanted to, you could email me and I could find it. Yeah. Hold it. It's going to be 2 hours, Venerable. You can open the door if you want. What? I'm going to be done at 10. Okay. All right. So we have visiting us here is Venerable Judguru, who, if you've been watching Empty Cloud, you've seen him recently on with Bhante and Aya. He's here at Line of Wisdom now. So that was just Venerable. All right. So, okay. So about the merit. So at the very, 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 very top, the most high merit is giving to a Buddha with the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis together. And then it just kind of goes lower from there. Just the Buddha or just the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis or just the such and such. And it actually includes, even good lay people, bad lay people. It includes, and even goes down to animals. So like at the very bottom of the list that you actually gain merit for giving to animals. So yes, there is this understanding that giving to monastic sangha is a very, very meritorious deed. And the reason why this is the case, okay. The reason why this is the case is because you are supporting the system that keeps the Dhamma alive in the world for the benefit of all beings. Right? This is something that's important to understand. It can kind of seem, especially to people outside of the system, people who are not born, like if you talk to like Sri Lankan people, they understand this fully. Like Sri Lankan people have this very ancient like quest, like their people have this like almost like chosen people kind of thing with keeping the Dhamma alive, right? With making it stay alive down the ages. This is why a lot of Westerners might not, because they're a very conservative culture. It's because their goal as a culture, Sri Lankan Buddhists, has been for 2,000 years to keep the Dhamma alive in the world. And they've done a heck of a job in doing it, right? So there's this ancient thing of supporting the system allows more and more people to practice the Dhamma, right? And so some people like this, some people hear my vision of how I want to build Maggasekha and have it more available for more people in America and also South America, Central America, Canada, wherever, for more people to hear the Dhamma. And they say, oh, that's great. That's a wonderful vision, right? And they want to support me in that. Right? So that's what this is really about. It's kind of monastics. There is unfortunately a corruption in that over many thousands of years, you kind of lose the meaning of this. And then it just becomes, well, you support the monks. The monks are like the high priests. And, you kind of see this. I was just talking to a Sri Lankan gentleman who I'm working closely with, and he was telling me this about how in Sri Lanka, there's lots of corruption and they've like lost the way of the old suttas, right? The old teachings. And now there's a movement to try to return to that. And So there's a corruption in that. And so it can seem like, to a Westerner or somebody who's not a Buddhist, it can seem like, oh, this is just, you're like supporting the monks because they're all high and mighty and stuff like that. But no, what it's doing is the monks are giving, basically sacrificing their normal lives to be fully supported so they can practice towards awakening and become learned and share the Dhamma and keep it alive. Like I even think of it myself personally. Like, there's a part of me that's like, why bother memorizing all this stuff in Pali? Like, why learn it? Why learn in Pali? But then the anthropologist in me is like, stupid. 2,500 years of your brothers and sisters, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, have memorized this so that you can, and written it down and such so that you can have it. I was like, okay, well, that means that it's part of my job to make sure that I pass that on as well. Right. So yeah, I should memorize this, and I should become a Pali master and all these kind of things so that my lineage passes that on. Right. So I understand it. So for me, this is what it's all about. The fourfold assembly, the lay people and the monastics are a team. They're a team for keeping the Dhamma alive. Right? The lay people support the monastics in, their food and their clothing and their shelter and, computers and things like that, so that they can share the Dhamma and learn and stuff like that. And the monastics pay that back by becoming awakened. Right? The Buddha says monastics are debtors. Right? You are a debtor. So the way you pay off your debt is by practicing hard, diligently, becoming awakened and learning the Dhamma and sharing the Dhamma with others. Right? Growing the Dhamma. So that's my goal. My life goals are become awakened, grow the Dhamma in the Americas. Those are my life goals. So and both, they're not mutually exclusive. They can be together. So supporting monastics is given a high merit because of this. Now, you see in the suttas, the Buddha doesn't just say, just support monastics, don't give to anybody. The Buddha gives to everybody. Give. Practice dana, practice generosity for everybody. Even like there's a sutta where a layperson comes to the Buddha who follows another samana sect, and the person asks them questions, and the Buddha answers, and he's like, oh, this is so wonderful, Buddha, know me as a lay person. I'm going to stop donating to these other samanas and donate to you. And Buddha says, no, don't do that. Why would Buddha say that? Makes sense, because this support of this whole system, this samana system of the ancient India, allowed for people like the Buddha to find awakening, right? It's an important system to support. So it's the same thing with monastics. The monastic system, even if it is partially corrupt, and even if you might find maybe 1 in 100 monks is a really good, amazing monk, even still, it's a system worth supporting. And monks have duties to lay people, and lay people have duties to monks, and they work together as a team. That's how it was set up by the Buddha. That's how it should be. And both groups should be mindful and aware of the best way of doing that. So the Buddha encourages you to be generous to all beings, high and low, without distinction. But in terms of merit, what you do to help the Dhamma propagate in the world means more benefit for more countless beings. That's the highest merit. That's why I do it. That's why I became a monk. Really, like the best thing for me to do. All the things that I did in life, teacher, child protective services, all the things that I did to help people. To me, this is the thing that helps people the most. This is the thing. Right? Sharing the Dhamma, in my opinion, is the best thing I can do for the world. Besides my own awakening, these two things. So yeah, I guess that's my answer to that. Visaka says, "Bring on the suttas." We'll get there. Matthias says, "What were the last things that the Buddha taught before he died?" Trying to think of the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Well, one of the things was the 7 ways that a community or a culture um, will survive and thrive and not be overtaken if they continue to do these things. Like always meet and discuss, um, protect women and children, and all these things. That's one of the things. Um, Also about being a refuge to yourself, being you are your only refuge. Also that there will be no person who's the teacher or the leader after the Buddha was gone. The Dhamma would be the teacher. There's a lot of. If you haven't read Mahaparinibbana Sutta, you should read it. It's one of my favorite suttas, and it's so different than all the others because it's usually suttas have a little bit of story on the bookends to kind of encapsulate the teaching, but Mahaparinibbana Sutta is a narrative, is a story the whole way through. It has little things of teaching, little dots of teaching here and there, but it is all the way through a wonderful story. So I mean, it's just jam packed with amazing stuff. So yeah, I would check out. And of course, the last words of the Buddha were "Appamadena sampadeta," means strive on with diligence. Those are the last things he said. Strive on with diligence. All impermanent or all conditioned things, strive with diligence. Hello, Abby. Yeah, I've heard your health has been horrible. I hope that you're doing better, at least. At least that you are slowly improving. And hello, Isla. Hello, Isla. Dharma says, when are you scheduled to be at Empty Cloud? So I'm going to be at Empty Cloud probably for at least a couple days, end of March, beginning of April, before I fly out to California. And then I'm going to be at Empty Cloud from like May 1st to June 11th, something like that. So I'm going to be there for probably, 5-6 weeks. Gregory says, my favorite sutta is Bahia Sutta. I find the short teaching to be very profound. However, I don't see clearly which specific practices it refers to. Is this the one where the Buddha is saying, in the seeing, only seeing? Because there's a bunch of Bahia Suttas. And that one, is that Bahia is also the one who gets killed by the cow too, isn't it? Or not? Clarify that for me. Oh, okay. So you say in the seeing, only seeing. Yeah. Can you provide connection to other suttas? Well, I would say that what he's saying there is a shortened version of Satipatthana. In the seeing, only seeing. In the hearing, only hearing. What he's saying is you are paying attention to, you say, like Vedana Nupassana. Right? One abides contemplating feeling in feeling, or feeling among the feelings. So it's this kind of focusing in not getting wrapped up in the details and the what you call it, signs and details, and getting infatuated by it, by focusing, understanding there is only seeing. When you see something, you're only seeing it. But then there's all these extra levels. We have feeling, we have craving, we have clinging onto it. So the Buddha's, in that teaching, the Buddha is pointing towards focusing in on the experience itself, just observing the experience itself. In the seeing, only seeing. In the hearing, only hearing. And then when you're trying to do that, then you can see all the extra layers that are added on. Hearing, ooh, I like that sound. Oh, I don't like that sound. And then the craving and all that comes with it. Abby says, we've had some strange moments since I've been back from the hospital, lights flickering, missing objects. Is it possible for spirits to do these things? We did a cleanse of the house. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is possible for petas or something to do these kind of things. Doesn't necessarily mean it's like evil spirits. There are supposedly trickster ghosts and things like that. People who have, haunted houses where it's not like a malicious ghost. It's just that things disappear, things get moved, and things just happen. I don't know. Gregory says, when practicing dana, is it important to understand how the donation is being used? That is, if a human's needs are already taken care of and an animal needs help, should we take that into account? I don't know. There's two things there. So there's how the donation's being used and where you choose to donate. Those are two different things. At least I don't know. I don't get the connection you're trying to make then if you are trying to make it one thing, right? So how the donation being used is not something you have very little control over that. I mean, that's something where you have to kind of temper your expectations. Make sure that uh, you're not attaching to the donation, because then that's not really giving. That's giving with a string attached. And if the string attached and if the donations are not used exactly how you want them to be, then you get agitated. And yeah, I mean, if humans are okay, take care of animals, that's fine. Whatever. Take care of both humans and animals. Yeah. Matthias, did the Buddha talk about the Buddhas before him? Yes. Yeah. And he even named some of them. Did they have monastic community where they live, etc.? Yeah, yeah. No, there's the essentially what you see in the suttas of Buddha Gautama and the monastic community and all that stuff, all the Buddhas basically have that same thing. Now, there's differences. Some Buddhas' teachings last longer than others. Um, so some Buddhist teachings might last only a couple hundred years. Some might last a million years. But in terms of like the structure, in terms of the fourfold assembly, in terms of having two main disciples and all that stuff. That's all the same. Each Buddha even gets enlightened under a specific tree, and that tree becomes their kind of like one of their like icons. I think it's even mentioned in the suttas. Um, like one Buddha has a sal tree. Here, but Buddha Gautama is under the Bodhi tree. But basically, it's the same. The same kind of framework. Yeah. If one person doesn't need a donation, might it be better to donate to someone less worthy who we know needs it? Yeah, I mean, if you have limited ability to donate and you're donating, and you're choosing who to donate, then sure. No? Hello, Yoel. Welcome. Oh, you're back to Joel? What happened to Yoel? Or is that just on something else? Matthias says, and did the Buddhas find the Four Noble Truths like the Buddha of our time? Yes. Yeah. That is the job description of a Buddha. Is to find the path of awakening after it's been lost. That is the job description of a Buddha. That's their special goal. Well, how is the Sutta Nipata different than other Nikayas? So the Sutta Nipata is a small group, a small book of suttas that are among the oldest. Sutta Nipata might be the oldest of all the suttas. It's definitely among the oldest strata for sure. And this is a small book that is put in the Kudaka Nikaya, right, along with Dhammapada, Tarigata, Taragata, Udana, Itivutika, other things like the Petavatu, the ghost story suttas, things like that. So there's a bunch of different things in the Kudaka Nikaya. Sutta Nipata is there. And Sutta Nipata is, like I said, considered among the oldest strata. You could see, like, Sutta Nipata was actually the first suttas I ever read. Because that's like one of the most common books you can find, like on Amazon and things like that. And like going back to it today, you can just see it's very archaic compared to like some of the later stuff. Definitely. And you can say, oh yeah, this is old. This is and it's also really good stuff. I love the Sutta Nipata. All right. Well, welcome those who are joining. If you're joining just recently, say hello in the chat. But the chat is quiet, and I think we've come to the end of questions, so it might be a good time to do a sutta. Why don't we do Majjhima Nikaya number 152? The very last sutta. The development of the faculties. So I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Kajangala in the bamboo grove. Then the Brahmin student Uttara, a pupil of the Brahmin Parasarya, approached the Buddha and exchanged greetings with him. When the greetings and polite conversation were over, he sat down to one side. The Buddha said to him, Uttara, does Parasarya teach his disciples the development of the faculties? He does, Master Gotama. But how does he teach it? Master Gotama, it's when the eye sees no sight, and the ear hears no sound. That's how Parasarya teaches his disciples the development of the faculties. In that case, Uttara, a blind person and a deaf person will have developed faculties, according to what Parasarya says. For a blind person sees no sight with the eye, and a deaf person hears no sound with the ear. When he said this, Uttara sat silent, dismayed, shoulders drooping, downcast, depressed, with nothing to say. Knowing this, the Buddha addressed Venerable Ananda. Ananda, development of the faculties taught by Parasarya is quite different from the supreme development of the faculties in the training of the noble ones. Now is the time, Blessed One. Now is the time, Holy One. Let the Buddha teach the supreme development of the faculties in the training of the noble one. The mendicants will listen and remember. Well then, Ananda, listen and pay close attention. I will speak. Yes, sir, Ananda replied. The Buddha said this. And how, Ananda, is there the supreme development of the faculties in the training of the noble ones? When a mendicant sees a sight with the eyes, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them. This kind of works out with talking about the Bahia Sutta a little bit. So when somebody sees a sight with the eyes, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them. They understand liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking have come up in me. That's conditioned, coarse, and dependently originated. But this is peaceful and sublime, namely equanimity. Equanimity. Equanimity is wonderful. Equanimity is beautiful. When you have those experiences, and you can see this in your own practice, you'll have glimpses of it, right? There might be in your meditation, it might be struggling, and all of a sudden you have a breakthrough, and your mind is just totally equanimous. It's not chasing after anything. It's not running away from anything. It's just settled. Just settled on the breath. Just peaceful, nice. It's like, Imagine if my mind was like this all the time. That would be amazing. Equanimity is wonderful. All right. This is peaceful and sublime, namely equanimity. Then the liking and disliking, and both liking and disliking that came up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. It's like how a person with good sight might open their eyes and shut them, or might shut their eyes and open them. Such is the speed, the swiftness, the ease with which any liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking at all that come up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. In the training of the noble ones, this is called the supreme development of the faculties regarding sights known by the eye. Furthermore, when a mendicant hears a sound with their ears, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them, they understand. Liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in me. That's conditioned. Sankara. Or this is sankatang, coarse, oladikam, and dependently originated, paticca samuppanam. But this is peaceful, sublime, namely equanimity. So this is interesting. This is the Buddha here is giving you a technique of how to see something. This is arisen. Oh, this is sankhara. It's anicca. It's kind of gross. Gross as in gross and subtle. Coarse. Not fine. It's dependently originated. It's going to go away. It's going to cease. No reason to be all attached to it. Why not? Let's just be equanimous. Then the liking and disliking, and both liking and disliking that came up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. It's like how a strong person can effortlessly snap their fingers, such as the speed, the swiftness, the ease with which any liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking at all that came up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. Such is the swiftness. That's a practice. That's what you do as you practice. You're coming back to the breath, letting go, right? Not becoming attached or agitated. You're moving back towards equanimity, coming back to the breath, being equanimous. In the training of the noble ones, this is called the supreme development of the faculties regarding sounds known by the ear. Furthermore, when a mendicant smells an odor with their nose, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them, they understand liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking have come up in me. That's conditioned, coarse, and dependently originated. But this is peaceful, sublime, namely equanimity. Then the liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking that came up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. It's like how a drop of water would roll off a greatly sloping lotus leaf and would not stay there. Such is the speed, the swiftness, the ease with which any liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking at all that came up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. In the training of the noble ones, this is called the supreme development of the faculties regarding smells known by the nose. I haven't been taking a breath. Need to get more air in me and take some more breath in between my speaking here. I'm actually surprised this has not been ellipsed. The whole thing is being printed out. All right. Furthermore, when a mendicant tastes a flavor with their tongue, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them. They understand liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking have come up in me. That's conditioned, coarse, and dependently originated. But this is peaceful and sublime, namely equanimity. Then the liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking that come up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. It's like how a strong person who's formed a glob of spit on the tip of their tongue could easily spit it out. Such as the speed, the swiftness, the ease with which any liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking at all that came up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. In the training of the noble ones, this is called the supreme development of the faculties regarding tastes known by the tongue. Furthermore, a mendicant feels a touch with their body, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them. They understand liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in me. That's conditioned, coarse, and dependently originated. But this is peaceful and sublime, namely equanimity. Then liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking that came up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. It's like how a strong person can extend or contract their arm. Such as the speed, the swiftness, the ease with which any liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking at all that come up in them cease, and equanimity becomes stabilized. In the training of the noble ones, this is called the supreme development of the faculties regarding touches known by the body. Furthermore, when a mendicant knows a thought with their mind, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them. They understand. Liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking have come up in me. That's conditioned, course, and dependently originated. But this is peaceful and sublime, namely equanimity. Just checking the chat. All right. Everybody is quietly listening to the sutta, I suppose. Then the liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking that come up in them cease. And equanimity becomes stabilized. It's like how a strong person could let 2 or 3 drops of water fall onto an iron cauldron that has been heated all day. The drops would be slow to fall, but they'd quickly dry up and evaporate. Such as the speed, the swiftness, the ease with which any liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking at all that came up in them cease. And equanimity becomes stabilized. In the training of the noble ones, this is the supreme development of the faculties regarding thoughts known by the mind. That's how there is the supreme development of faculties in the training of the noble ones. And how are they a practicing trainee? A seiko, Maggasekha, right? So if you never know what Maggasekha means, what you have at least the second word, Seika. Seiko here, right? Means a trainee, a student, one who is learning. Maggasekha means a student of the path. What is Magga? The Noble Eightfold Path. So a Maggasekha is a student of the Noble Eightfold Path. When a mendicant sees with their eyes, sees a sight with their eyes, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them. They are horrified. Let's see, repelled and disgusted by that. Let me see here. They are not pleased. I guess you could say horrified. But when they hear a sound with their ears, when they smell an odor with their nose, when they taste a flavor with their tongue, when they feel a touch with their body, when they know a thought with their mind, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up with them. They are horrified, repelled, and disgusted by that. Disgusted. They are not pleased and disgusted. That is how they are a practicing trainee. So basically, what this is saying here, when you see the liking and the disliking, you don't get wrapped up in it. You don't want to have anything to do with it. Right? You don't like it. You just say, okay, this liking and disliking, this is dependently originated. This is just causing me suffering. Let me abandon it. Let me not give it any energy. That's how they are a practicing trainee. That's how you train. And how are they a noble one with developed faculties? When a mendicant sees a sight with their eyes, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them. If they wish, may I meditate perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive. That's what they do. If they wish, may I meditate in perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive. That's what they do. So you see this kind of equanimity, going back to equanimity, seeing the unrepulsive in the repulsive, right? So this is like something is very repulsive that it gets to, or that it feeds into your aversion, the dislike. And so that seeing the unrepulsiveness in it is bringing you back to the middle, bringing you back to equanimity. May I see this unrepulsiveness in the repulsive. If they wish, may I perceive the repulsive in the unrepulsive. So that's the reverse. Getting wrapped up. Ooh, this is this person has a sexy body, or ooh, that croissant or that ice cream looks really good. And then you see the repulsive in that. You see the opposite. You reflecting on the downside of it. That is what they do. If they wish, may I meditate perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive and the unrepulsive. That is what they do. If they wish, may I meditate perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive and the repulsive. That is what they do. If they wish, may I meditate staying equanimous, mindful and aware, rejecting both the repulsive and the unrepulsive. That is what they do. When they hear a sound with their ear, when they smell an odor with their nose, when they taste a flavor with their tongue, when they feel a touch with their body, when they know a thought with their mind, liking, disliking, and both liking and disliking come up in them. If they wish, may I meditate perceiving the unrepulsive and the repulsive. That's what they do. If they wish, may I meditate perceiving the repulsive and the unrepulsive. That's what they do. If they wish, may I meditate perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive and the repulsive. That's what they do. If they meditate, may I meditate perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive and the repulsive. That's what they do. If they wish, may I meditate staying equanimous, mindful and aware, rejecting both the repulsive and the unrepulsive. That's what they do. That's how they are a noble one with developed faculties. So, Ananda, I have taught the supreme development of the faculties in the training of the noble one. I have taught the practicing trainee. And I have taught the noble one with developed faculties. Out of compassion, I have done what a teacher should do who wants what's best for their disciples. Here are these roots of trees. Here are these empty huts. Practice jhana, Ananda. Don't be negligent. Don't regret it later. That is my instruction to you. That is what the Buddha said. Satisfied, Venerable Ananda was happy with what the Buddha said. And the Majjhima Nikaya, Majjhima Nikayo Samatto, middle length discourses are complete. The final sutta. All right. Any comments, questions, clarifications on that sutta before we move towards our meditation? All right, well, it's 9 o'clock. We have an hour left of Dhammapalooza. So why don't we do our meditation? And then after the meditation, we can maybe do some sutta roulette, some Dhammapada readings, and then we'll close out. So set your body up in a stable and comfortable position, whatever position works for you. Close your eyes. We'll start scanning through the body, starting from the feet, moving up to the top of the head. Begin by putting your focus and attention on your feet. By putting focus and attention, we mean that you should focus in on and pay attention to whatever sensations arise in that part of the body. such as the feelings of the feet pressing against the floor, the cushion, the couch, the opposite leg, whatever it may be. Focus in deeply on that sensation, that feeling, and understand it as deeply as you can. Doing this training will allow you to notice when your posture is imbalanced or likely to cause pain so that you can adjust as needed. Move up through the ankles into the calves. You're having trouble connecting with a sensation as you move through your body. You can prompt yourself by asking, what do I see? What do I feel? And oftentimes you will shortly become aware of sensation, feeling. Up through to the knees, into the thighs. Was the feeling of the thighs pressing against the chair, couch, cushion? Up through to the hips and pelvis. Pay special attention to this part of the body always as you're scanning. Position of the hips and pelvis, the angle impacts the spine and the legs. So it's important to focus in on this part of the body. Make sure the balance and stability is there. When you're ready, move up the spine, through the abdomen, the chest. Check that the spine is not leaning or slouching. This will impact both your ability to freely breathe and also cause pain in the back the longer you meditate. Moving up the spine through the abdomen and the chest. Checking that the shoulders are hanging loosely, not scrunched up and tight. Down through to the elbows and hands, observing how the position of the elbows and hands also impacts your spine, your posture. And finally up to the head, checking so that the head is also not leaning and slouching. Chin parallel to the floor. And when you're done, let the body go and take 3 deep breaths. And then let the breath go. From here on in, try not to manipulate or control the breath in any way. Just do your best to follow the breath as this body breathes in and breathes out. Now let us shift to practicing Metta for the rest of the session. Practice of Metta uses both words and visuals. You can choose to use the words and visuals that I give you, or use your own, whatever works for you. The words and visuals are just a means to an end. The words and visuals of the practice are used to develop a mind free of ill will, greed, hatred, aversion, resentment, jealousy, and to develop warm-hearted feelings of friendliness for all beings. We'll start our practice with the person whom we may have the most agitation towards, who we most might have problems with or dislike or even hate. That person is ourselves. We cannot hope to spread our goodwill and friendliness out to all beings in the universe if we have none for ourselves. So we'll spend a little time developing metta for ourselves. Repeat these words. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. If you like, you can visualize an image of yourself in front of you, like looking at yourself in a mirror, and say the words to yourself in this way. When we say these words, they're not meant to just be said over and over again like a mantra. Like they have some magic power and we just have to keep repeating them. Every time you say these words, try to do so in an honest and sincere way, like you are wishing your best friend or close relative goodwill, that these come true, that they do find peace, happiness, friendship, release, etc. Like in the beginning of this session tonight, when we did Kanda Parita, it says, may all beings know what is good. This is the wish we have when we spread metta out. Repeat the words once more. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. When practicing this on your own, you can take as much time as you need to practice giving yourself goodwill, friendliness, really to build it up. If you like, you can imagine, visualize a sphere around you, just large enough to cover you, your physical body. And you fill that sphere with your goodwill, friendliness. And after you have practiced for yourself, given metta to yourself, fill that sphere, you can spread it out slowly. So Spread out the sphere to encompass the entirety of whatever building you're in, house, apartments, whatever, encompassing whatever beings, large and small, seen and unseen, that might be in that building. And repeat the words. May all of us in this building find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of whatever town or village that you're in. May all of us in this town or village find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere out to encompass the entirety of your state or region, province. May all of us in this state or region find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass whatever country that you're in. Millions or billions of beings, humans, animals, insects, seen and unseen, so many beings. May all of us in this country find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of this earth, our home planet, pale blue dot in a sea of black. You can visualize your sphere of metta encompassing the whole planet, trillions of beings, air, land, and sea, living out their life, planet teeming with life. May all of us on this planet find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Continue to spread your sphere out into the cosmos to encompass the entirety of the Milky Way, our home galaxy, with hundreds of billions of stars and planets. May all of us in the Milky Way find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Continue spreading your sphere into the known universe and beyond, wherever there may be beings. This universe, multiverses, planes of existence, doesn't matter where. Wherever there may be sentient beings in the samsaric state like yourself, leaving none out. May all beings in existence, all of us, find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Slowly start to come back from the reaches of the universe back to this planet, opening your eyes, becoming aware of the room around you. Reflecting on the state of your mind before and after the meditation, and any experiences you may have had during the meditation. And while you do that, I'll bring up the Dhammapada. Do some reading of the Dhammapada, and then I think we'll call it a night. The Fool. Long is the night to the sleepless. Long is the league to the wary. Long is the worldly existence to fools who know not the sublime truth. Should a seeker not find a companion who is better or equal, let him resolutely pursue a solitary course. There is no fellowship with the fool. The fool worries, thinking, I have sons, I have wealth. Indeed, when he himself is not his own, whence are sons? Whence is wealth? A fool who knows his foolishness is wise, at least to that extent. But a fool who thinks himself wise is a fool indeed. That always reminds me of the Socrates quote, where all I know is that I know nothing. It also reminds me of how the deeper you go in the path, the more you realize how ignorant you are. In the beginning of the Buddhist path, you don't really start to understand the depths of your ignorance, of avidya. The wiser you become, the more you realize how big a fool you are, how much ignorance you have. All right. Though all his life a fool associates with a wise man, he no more comprehends the truth than a spoon tastes the flavor of the soup. Though only for a moment the discerning person associates with a wise man, quickly he comprehends the truth, just as the tongue tastes the flavor of the soup. Fools of little wit are enemies unto themselves, as they move about doing evil deeds, the fruits of which are better. You are your own worst enemy. Ill done is that action of doing which one repents later, and the fruit of which one weeping reaps with tears. Well done is that action of doing which one repents not later, and the fruit of which one reaps with delight and happiness. So long as an evil deed has not ripened, the fool thinks it is sweet as honey. But when the evil deed ripens, the fool comes to grief. Month after month, the fool may eat his food with the tip of a blade of grass, but he still is not worth a 16th part of those who have comprehended the truth. Truly, an evil deed committed does not immediately bear fruit, like milk that does not turn sour all at once. But smoldering, it follows the fool like fire covered by ashes. To his own ruin, the fool gains knowledge, for it cleaves his head and destroys his innate goodness. The fool seeks undeserved reputation, precedence among monks, authority over monasteries, and honor among householders. In quotes, let both laymen and monks think that it was done by me. In every work, great and small, let them follow me. End quote. Such is the ambition of the fool. Thus his desire and pride increase. One is the quest for worldly gain, and quite another is the path to Nibbana. Clearly understanding this, let not the monk, the disciple of the Buddha, be carried away by worldly acclaim, but develop detachment instead. The wise. Should one find a man who points out faults and who reproves, let him follow such a wise and sagacious person as one would a guide to hidden treasure. It is always better and never worse to cultivate such an association. Let him admonish, instruct, and shield one from wrong. He indeed is dear to the good and detestable to the evil. Do not associate with evil companions. Do not seek the fellowship of the vile. Associate with the good friends. Seek the fellowship of noble men. He who drinks deep the Dhamma lives happily with a tranquil mind. The wise man ever delights in the Dhamma made known by the Noble One. Irrigators regulate the rivers. Fletchers straighten the arrow shaft. Carpenters shape the wood. The wise control themselves. Just as a solid rock is not shaken by the storm, even so the wise are not affected by praise and blame. On hearing the teachings, the wise become perfectly purified, like a lake deep, clear, and still. The good renounce attachment for everything. The virtuous do not prattle with a yearning for pleasures. The wise show no elation or depression when touched by happiness or sorrow. He is indeed virtuous, wise, and righteous, who neither for his own sake nor for the sake of others does any wrong. Who does not crave for sons, wealth, or kingdom, and does not desire success by unjust means? Few among men are those who cross to the further shore. The rest, the bulk of men, only run up and down the hither bank. But those who act accordingly to the perfectly taught Dhamma will cross the realm of death so difficult to cross. Abandoning the dark way, let the wise man cultivate the bright path. Having gone from home to homelessness, let him yearn for that delight in detachment. so difficult to enjoy. Giving up sensual pleasures with no attachment. Let the wise man cleanse himself of the defilements of the mind. Those whose minds have reached full excellence in the factors of enlightenment, who, having renounced acquisitiveness, rejoice in not clinging to things, rid of cankers, glowing with wisdom, they have attained nibbana in this very life. All right, friends. I think we're going to call it a night. Let's do our business, then share merits. All right. So if you are new, or if you haven't already, anything that I do and that Maggasekha does, you can find out and be kept updated and to know the newest things that come out by going to the website scrolling at the bottom of the screen, maggasekha.org, maggasekha.org. There, the top right of that website, you can put your email in, and then anytime I post something, a new retreat, new article, new videos, whatever it might be, then you'll get notified by email. Same thing on YouTube. You can click the bell, subscribe, and anytime there's a new video coming out, you will get an email notification. We also have our online community on Discord. You can join us if you like. You can check it out by sending an email to maggasekha@gmail.com, as seen on the screen. We are a community that is focused solely on study and practice of the early texts. So we have a very specific focus. We're not a general Buddhist forum. But if that is something that you'd like to try out that seems interesting to you, you can send an email and request an invite, and we'll send you an invite. With that, we have various activities that are weekly. Obviously, all of these have the caveat of when I'm able, when I'm in a place that has internet and I can do these things. Mondays at 8 p.m. New York time, we have our Dhammapalooza. Monday through Friday, we have morning monastery experience. So in 10 hours, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, I will be back live streaming on this channel to do our half-hour morning monastery experience, which is a half hour of what it would be like to attend the morning services at a monastery. There'll be chanting, precepts, hearing some Dhamma, getting a little Dhamma talk before heading out for the day. So it's always a good way to start the day. You can join us, our community here. We have between like 7 and 12 people who join every day to come together, say good morning to each other. It's always a good thing to start the day. And then Wednesdays, we usually have a Ask a Bhante video that I post. And then who knows what else might come up. Whatever I have the energy and time to do. But that is business done, I think. So let's share merit. Call it a night. Dukkha patta chane dukkha, bhaya patta chane bhaya, soka patta chane soka, hontu sabbe pipaniyo, etta vatta cha amehi, sampatam punya sampatam, sabbe deva anumodantu, sabba sampatti siddhya, akasatta jabumatta, deva naga mahiddhika, punyam tang anumoditva, charang rakantu sasanam. May the suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit of ours for the acquisition of all kind of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, friends. This concludes another Dhammapalooza. Sukhi Hotu. May you be happy and at ease. Practice well and be well. And until we meet again, may you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice. Have a good week.